everyone, and good morning. I'm Lihia Zamora, the Chief Marketing Officer at Enable, and I'd like to give you a warm welcome to the Grand Hotel in Birmingham. Really excited to be here. It's amazing to see this room filled with so many bright minds across customers, partners, and many innovators. We all share one thing in common, making sure that we're collaborating smarter. So Elevate isn't your typical conference. Today it's about big ideas, real stories, and of course fresh perspectives on what's next in rebates and pricing, technology, AI, and the economy overall. And there's my clicker. Throughout the day, you're going to hear from incredible speakers, people pushing boundaries, challenging assumptions, and of course, redefining how we create value together. We're going to explore where rebates and pricing have been, where we're going next. We're going to talk, of course, about AI, not just as some foreign concept and far off, but actually as a powerful tool that's already transforming the way we work. You're going to hear firsthand how leaders across industries are using pricing and rebates to drive strategy, innovation, and growth. So by the end of today, hopefully you're going to walk away with some new insights, maybe make some new connections, and maybe have a few aha moments, some things you can potentially take back to work so that you can change the way you think about your business. So our goal is simple: be inspired, be empowered, but more importantly, meet some of your peers and come away with some great connections. So please take it all in. Feel free to ask questions, meet someone new, but more importantly, have fun with it. Welcome to Elevate UK. So let's make it an unforgettable day, and join me in welcoming our founder and CEO, Andrew Butt.
The world is moving faster than ever. Trade rules are being rewritten. Costs are changing by the hour. AI has gone from buzzword to business critical. Staying profitable has never been more unpredictable. You need more than spreadsheets, more than patchwork systems. You need control. And yet, most businesses are still trying to manage it all with disconnected systems and tools designed for a different era. It's a recipe for leakage and missed opportunities. Now imagine a world with no data silos, no blind spots, no profit left behind, where strategy meets execution instantly. It's time to unify. Pricing, rebates, AI. With real-time visibility and predictive insights giving you the power to unlock total revenue control. Build smarter incentives. Execute complex pricing strategies. Collaborate with trading partners. Protect your margin at every point. This is Revenue Reimagined. For speed, for strategy, for resilience. Enable, built for volatility. Powered by AI, ready for what's next.
Good morning, Birmingham. Great to see you all here. Thank you, Lahir, and great pronunciation of Birmingham. That's definitely much better than the average American's pronunciation of Birmingham. So great to see you. I'm really pleased to be here. This actually marks our third year since we started Elevate. And we started with a bold vision, a vision to really transform how we think about managing commercial relationships collaboratively and using rebates. And that's both with our customers and with our suppliers. So great to see such a full room here today. We've already exceeded our maximum previous Elevate attendance, so thank you all for coming. This actually completes our world tour. So we've done Sydney, Melbourne, we've done Chicago, and it's always great to be back here in the Midlands where, of course, Enable started and where we still have a huge customer base and team and presence. Now, before I dive in, I wanted to share a quick story. I was talking with the CFO of one of our largest customers and manufacturing company, and he said, Andrew, we just lost $3.2 million because we couldn't adapt our pricing fast enough from a 15% spike in material cost. $3.2 million. That really, really stuck with me because this wasn't due to poor strategy. It was not due to poor planning. It was literally a limitation in their system. They just couldn't actually execute until about 30 days later. And this is a story I hear time and time again. I hear it in different industries, I hear it in different countries, but really it's just different versions of the same story. So we're really living in a world that's accelerating, but we have commercial systems that are stuck in first gear. Now, you don't need me to tell you, this year has been a crazy time. It's really hard to overstate the forces that have been shaping and reshaping the supply chain, the economy. We've seen tariffs in the beginning of the year being created and then changed and then recreated again. And we've really been witnessing a global realignment in trade. Some of the supply chains that took decades to form have actually been reconfigured in a matter of months. So it really has been an exceptional year. And where I live in San Francisco, I actually look out over the bay. And when I occasionally look up from my computer screen, which isn't often enough, I can see ships going in and out, freight, cargo ships zipping around the bay. The port of Oakland is just over the bridge from where I look. And I have to say, earlier this year, it's been totally desolate, just almost no activity. And I was speaking with one of our industrial supplies distributors, and this really explained it for me, because they're in the US, big US distributor, but they have their own brand of products, which are made in China. And he said for a period of literally a couple of months, they held all deliveries in China, and they just didn't ship anything to the United States whatsoever. And the reason for that, of course, is because when tariffs are applied or changed, it happens at the time, or it happens immediately, and that even includes products in transit. So when those products arrive, then the tariff is applied, and companies just didn't know what it would be. So they could ship their stock from China, for example, to the US, and then while it's actually on the sea, a 90% tariff comes out, and that gets applied when it arrives. So just a complete kind of absence of activity. And this was affecting many other industries as well. So one other story I had was a great big food manufacturing company. They told me on one particular day, their team spent, I think it was 10 hours, computing what the impact was going to be of a particular tariff. And by the end of the day, they kind of got to the answer, but Trump had actually decided to just cancel it altogether at that point, so it was a total waste of time. And then I'll just share with you a final example of hospitality. So not necessarily a core original industry for Enable, but we've got some great customers in hospitality. And one of them is a hotel group that operates over 1,000 hotels. They said that kind of trade into the US, visits into the US was down as much as 70% in the early part of the year. So a huge impact to their occupancy, and bookings for conferences in Q3 and Q4 were kind of at an all-time low. So we did a survey. We spoke to over 1,500 VPs and above in our core industries. So that is manufacturing, retail, CPG, wholesale, distribution. And there's a whole kind of report that you can download on enable.com. But just 3 numbers I wanted you to kind of think about right now. 76% of businesses that we spoke to have already lost margin due to this. And on average, 34% of COGS are actually exposed to tariff impact. And what I found really fascinating is 93% of respondents said that their current level of responsiveness to price changes would risk loss of profit. So like I say, you can get the whole report on enable.com, but the bottom line is this. The vast majority of leaders said that they would be unable to react to the next wave of volatility in terms of their approach to trading partner management. We don't know, obviously, what that next wave will be. It's hard to know, but the tariffs was just the most recent one, the next one is coming, and it's really important that we're equipped to deal with that. So I'll move on from the T word. The other thing, of course, is the A word, and amongst all the craziness we've had, AI is now really in full flight. It's truly exploding. We're way past the experimentation phase. We're into kind of mainstream adoption across every function now, and I would say the fourth industrial revolution is well underway. And I'll be talking more about this, about Industry 4.0, later today. But I think it was really generative AI that captured the public interest in 2023 with ChatGPT. Who's using ChatGPT? Or similar Anthropic Claude, other versions? Exactly. And that I think has really kind of changed the game. So every function today is expected to harness AI. And I speak to CEOs all the time who say that when anyone in their company is trying to open a new job position, a new rec, they're being asked, why can't AI do this? And that's even being asked with backfills as well. So this is, really huge phenomenon. And I did some research, just because I was very clear on how fast the growth has been, but I wanted some numbers. And can you believe, with the telephone network, not exactly modern technology, the telephone network, it took 75 years from that being introduced to reaching 100 million users, 75 years. The web, that took 7 years to reach 100 million users, and ChatGPT got to 100 million users in 2 months. 2 months. And it's now at 800 million weekly active users. So that is really the speed of change. The pace is dizzying. And if you're feeling overwhelmed by this and everything else I just mentioned, then you're certainly not alone. So I think it's clear to me, the old ways are not working. But before we talk about the future, I want to just take us back to how supply chains used to work not so long ago. And we have to think about this because we take everything for granted. We have to really think hard about what things used to be like. So 2 metaphors I wanted to share. One was the web. Okay, imagine now not having access to the internet, not having access to the web. I know when I'm offline, I'm very limited in what I can do. There's not much I can do. But I remember seeing something from Bill Gates. It doesn't seem like long ago. It probably was 15 years ago now. But seeing something from Bill Gates where he said, the internet will be a seamless extension of our desktop. And we will just be navigating all day long between our local computer and resources and what's on the web. It will just be a seamless... And I have to admit, I did not believe him. I thought that can't be right, because this was the days of probably dial-up modem, where things were working really slowly. And I was just thinking, why would you possibly want to be just seamlessly moving onto the internet and using it and blurring the boundaries? But again, think about now, it's almost inconceivable that that wouldn't be the case. Maybe one that's even more clear is what's happened with mobile phones. Now, who would have thought that we would be using and browsing the web on our phones? Okay. Again, I remember being skeptical. The good old Nokia phone, the BlackBerry, we wouldn't have thought. And Steve Jobs launched the iPhone in 2007, which is not that long ago. And now, again, I don't know, I'll ask, who in the room does not browse the web or use the internet or access the internet on their phone? It's just amazing how things have changed. So I don't know if you kind of feel the same as I do, but that was 2007 when the iPhone came out, and it's now inconceivable that we could live without a smartphone. So let's get back to the topic and talk about B2B trading prior to 2007. Okay, and I remember the supply chain used to be much more linear. So you'd have manufacturers in their silo. They made products and shipped them to distributors who held inventory in their warehouse. And they would sit there with inventory, and then contractors would show up. They'd come in their truck or in their van, and most of the transaction value and volume was like that, turning up to the local distributor, loading the van with stuff, and then driving away. A very linear process from manufacturer to distributor to contractor. And that's really how things were. And commercial terms were quite straightforward as well. Manufacturers generally, there's always exceptions, but generally would set the terms with distributors. Distributors set the terms with contractors, and it was a very local business. And of course, commercial agreements were quite simple as well. We started at Enable with annual volume agreements, annual volume rebates. And the teams in our customers were very siloed. So you'd have the supplier rebate team, okay? And then you would have the, contract support team. And there were all these different teams that just thought about their own area. I can remember one of our early customers in the US, they actually had a tool called the Net Price Tracker. And this was because the rebate team would occasionally move from a rebate to a better net price. And they wanted to record that because their entire compensation and bonus was on the rebate they earned from suppliers. So that was the kind of specific narrow thinking, if you like, that went on. So one of the problems there is you'd have companies buying a load of stock, earning a great rebate, but then that stock might just sit in inventory and never be sold. It would just collect dust. Or it would be sold, but it would be sold at a loss. But the supplier rebate team still got their bonus because they had earned the target rebate. So this is how things were. This is how things used to be in the pre-iPhone era, pre-2007. And like I say, all these different teams, supplier rebate team, contract support team. Talking of contract support, and there's lots of words for this that you guys probably all use different words, but claim backs, contract support, special pricing agreements, deviated allowances, it's all sorts of things. That probably was the most collaborative that we used to see of trading partners working together to serve customers. And what would happen is you would get a contractor who would win a really big project to build 100 homes, and then they would come into their local distributor and say, okay, I need 100 boilers, I need 100 sets of plastics and guttering and roofing tiles and so on. What deal can you do? What deal can you do? And the distributor would literally get on the phone to their favorite manufacturers and say, I've got Hugh standing here. Hugh's won this contract to do 100 homes. What deal can you do? And often the manufacturer would be going to voicemail, or they would not be there, and they might call back a day or two later, by which time, often, you've lost the business. So this is really kind of the world that we're coming from. And I think we can all see, in the world I described a few minutes ago, that is not going to work for much longer. The way the supply chain works now isn't in that linear fashion. It's almost more like just-in-time delivery. And trading partners are truly winning or losing together. They're working side by side together to win business in much more on a real-time basis. And I think if we take that example I gave of the distributor phoning the manufacturer and leaving a voicemail as one extreme of how pricing is put together, slowly, not real-time, offline, the other extreme would be something like Google AdWords. Okay, Google AdWords. And even that's going out of fashion now, isn't it? Because people apparently aren't searching on Google anymore. They're using ChatGPT. But AdWords gives you real-time pricing. It knows the supply and demand. I can put in rebate management, and it says that's $5 to get that keyword. We'll get an advert with that word. And then something else will be $20. So it's much more real-time. And I think we need to be thinking about that in the physical world, the physical supply chain. We need to get to much more immediate, real-time customized pricing, because that's what people expect. Imagine if you went to book an airline ticket and it took 2 days to get a price. It has to be real time. So one of the most forward-thinking CIOs that I work with within Enable's customer base, he's actually developed an amazing approach to this contract support business, where he's now using AI to anticipate what support he will get from his suppliers. So when Hugh comes in with his 100 homes, the system now actually looks at, based on past business, past transactions, past deals, what kind of support would I get on this product? And then he actually creates that dynamic price for the contractor, and serves in real time, and then claims later. And occasionally, the supplier says, actually, no, we won't do that for these reasons. But they true up. They can true up later. And because they have great relationships with their suppliers, then they can figure that stuff out. They get it right most of the time, but they can just be much, much faster at serving the customer. So I think that's just one example of how things are going to become, and are becoming, much more real time in the physical world, how the physical supply chains are going to become more like Google, more like airlines. Now, this same CIO explained to me that their business was 80% kind of the guy turning up, the contractor turning up in his truck, in his van, and buying locally. That it was 80% local. But now, more than 50% of their business is quoted. So it's not like that anymore. Contractors send out RFPs, and they say, here's what we need. Here's a bill of materials of what we need, okay? And they go to lots of national providers. And so this guy said to me, there's literally tens of millions of pounds that we make or lose based on how we respond to these bids. And we either lose bids because we quote too much, because we haven't got real-time visibility to our true price, so we lose business, or we lose business because we quote too slowly. So we spend a lot of time figuring out exactly what our price is, but by the time we quote, we've lost the business. But he said the worst thing is when we win it, but we win it at a price where we'll never make any money, because we're trying to be fast, we're trying to respond before someone else wins, but we didn't have time, or we didn't have a fast enough system to know what our true cost was. And now we've won this business, but we're actually never going to make any money. So, this is some of the challenges that people are dealing with. And what I've been saying for a couple of years, but this is really picking up a lot more now, is that the very, very best trading relationships are built where the partner is a seamless extension of themselves. Enable's mission is enabling trusted trading relationships to serve customers better together. And the most enlightened manufacturers, who I'm sure are many of you in the room, and the most enlightened distributors know that you can serve customers better together than you can apart. Because at the end of the day, customers want and need both. Customers really value the network that distributors have, the branch network. They value the local market knowledge. They need to know what's going on in Birmingham, okay? They really value the relationship they have with the branch manager. So the distributor has huge value: network, knowledge, relationship. The manufacturer is creating exceptional products, okay? But they don't have that branch network. They don't have that local relationship. They don't have that local knowledge. So really, working closely together to serve customers is how the best trading partners win. And this has definitely been happening and is happening for the most strategic relationships, okay? So you think of your top 10 or top 20 suppliers, or your top 10 or 20 customers, distributors, I should say, and I'm sure that you are working pretty closely together. What I see is that is going to become the standard for every trading relationship. Technology is going to mean that you can have that level of kind of intimacy and personalization, even with the much smaller manufacturers, even with the much smaller distributors. And this kind of new way of working and this new paradigm is what I'm calling Revenue 4.0. So back to the fourth industrial revolution. Okay, Revenue 4.0. So this is Industry 4.0 in the commercial world, and it's really where human relationships and business relationships combine with AI and create value at the pace of change. And what this is about for me is it's about revenue being won, being earned, and being retained together, working together with our trading partners. It's about higher quality revenue at better margins, and it's also about more sticky revenue. So we're really talking about, strategic rebates, where we're not just rewarding past performance, we're actually using rebates to align partnerships, to drive behavior, and to achieve the commercial outcomes that we want. We're talking about intelligent pricing, so providing the optimum price to each customer in each moment, whatever the channel is, whether they're coming into a store, whether they're on an e-commerce website, whatever it might be. We're talking about seamless collaboration where trading partners are using the same playbook. Okay, they're working closely together, and they are doing that to win. And we're also talking about speed and precision, where decisions are made at the pace of business and not the pace of bureaucracy. Now, to do this and to succeed with Revenue 4.0, we need to have kind of very much unified platforms. And we need to break down silos within our companies, okay, between finance, sales, purchasing. We need to break down silos between pricing and rebate teams. And we also need to break down silos between ourselves and our trading partners. So that's really important. And I think where AI comes in is really turning data into insights. So these, I think, are the core ingredients that we need. But it's not just about having better tools, far from it. Revenue 4.0 is really about reimagining how relationships create value. And I've given a few examples, hopefully, of what I see different companies doing. But this is really about reimagining how we sell together, how we win together, and how we also serve and retain customers together. Now, we've been building towards this vision for a while. This is us in 2012, when we kind of first came up with this idea of a modern cloud rebate management solution. And I think in those early days, we recognized that in retail, distribution, rebate income was, on average, 100% of the profit that companies were making, on average. It might be 50%, it might be 400%, but we saw that. And we saw that there were no tools to manage this well. So there was a lot of leakage. Anyone receiving rebate income was leaking a certain percentage of that, and then manufacturers who were paying it were paying all this money, but were not necessarily getting the results that they really could get. It wasn't necessarily driving behavior. So we kind of realized that rebates is like a pay for performance. It's much more powerful than just using discounts or special prices in isolation. And that's something we've been focused on for a very long time. And we took a lot of time to really research and learn what was most successful, and kind of looks at joint business plans, how you have joint business plans between manufacturers and distributors that set out the goals. What market share does the manufacturer want to reach? What kind of revenue growth do they want? What kind of margin does the distributor need to make? And how can we put that together into a joint business plan so that once those goals are achieved, each party can get the reward that they deserve? So again, I saw these joint business plans in place at the biggest companies, in the biggest trading relationships, but I thought, how can we build technology so that you can put that in place with all of your partners, and we can have thousands and thousands of manufacturers and distributors working together online with joint business plans? So, that was the vision early around rebates, and Enable is now at some scale. We've processed over $1.8 trillion of transactions, and things are moving forward. But there's definitely more to Revenue 4.0 than just rebates. In this world of unprecedented volatility, pricing agility has become critically important. And pricing is really your secret weapon in being able to protect margins. So I think the recent chaos has definitely shown us that need. And that is why earlier this year, we were very excited to announce the acquisition of Flintfox, which is really bringing together rebates and pricing into one roof, and really helping us understand the end-to-end margin. So many of us have commercial arrangements on the buy side and on the sell side. We have pricing arrangements with our suppliers and rebates from our suppliers. We have the same with our customers. And now, by bringing this together, we can start to truly see that end-to-end margin. What is the true profitability? What is the dead net cost? What is the net price? Again, lots of words, but this is something I'm very, very excited about. And by bringing together AI-powered rebates and high-speed price execution, we're really creating a platform that gives visibility and control and the ability to act at speed. And when I say speed, I really do mean speed. FlintFox actually has the world's fastest price calculation engine and can calculate 5,000 prices per second, which is increasingly important because all of our pricing rules are getting more complex. Depending on who we're buying from, who we're selling to, values, volumes, all kinds of conditions, the channel that we sell on, the actual pricing rules are different because, like I said earlier, we need to provide optimum pricing for each context. That's how we're going to win. So the ability to generate that in real time is important. And I continue to be amazed at the things I hear, the problems that companies have. A lot of companies have more than 10% of their transactions that they're transacting at the wrong price. So they're buying and they're paying more or less than they've agreed, and then they're selling at more or less than they've agreed in more than 10% of cases, because their systems just cannot generate and execute the right price fast enough. I also see companies where it might take them a whole week to update their pricing on 1 million part numbers. It takes a week. And I even saw one of our prospects shut down their e-commerce website for an entire weekend because they couldn't actually continue to run the website while they're updating their pricing. So this is crazy situation. But speed and unification are only part of the story. Like I said earlier, we are seeing huge transformation with AI. And let me be a little bit more specific, because obviously this has millions of use cases. I think what we're seeing is, from a productivity perspective, we're now using AI to ingest contracts, to read contracts at high speed and load them and create the kind of pricing and the rebate rules. We're using AI to match data, to cleanse data, to try and cleanse product data, reconcile product data with transaction data. So there's a huge productivity element. There's then a huge kind of insight part of this, running simulations. So if we have all the transactions, we have all the agreements on the buy side and the sell side, let's look at many scenarios of how we could slightly change our buying and or selling behavior to get better commercial outcomes based on our agreements. And also, how can we change our agreements as well and get better outcomes by just slightly refining our agreements? So AI is being used for all of this. And then the third area, productivity, insight, the third area is full automation. And one of the partners we're working with now, and I think we have someone from Pactum in the room. Do we have Pactum in the room anywhere? Aha, excellent. This is one of the most exciting use cases that I've come across, and we've now partnered with Pactum. And these guys have developed an AI agent that actually negotiates with a trading partner entirely using AI. Okay? And what's happening today is most of us are negotiating and working with our top 10, 20, 30% of partners, but then there's a long tail that they're really small values, volumes. We haven't got a unique contract in place. Pactum actually goes and asks a whole bunch of questions. Do you want growth? Do you want to be paid faster? Do you want a better price? You can't have all of those things, by the way, but what do you want? And the partner can actually negotiate with the AI, and the AI puts a contract in place. And this is generating millions of dollars of additional revenue, additional cash for customers. We've got many customers who are using Enable and Pactum, and it now can integrate together. And believe it or not, the trading partner, I'm not on commission, by the way, so I'm selling your product for you, but the trading partner, they actually feed back that they like this more than negotiating with a human, because they can negotiate and then go away, do it from the comfort of their home, the comfort of their office, come back later, and then the contract is in place. So I think that's a really practical example of AI, agentic AI, in the industries that many of us are in, and there will be many more to come. So I'm staring at some red numbers here. I'm over time already. I just want to bring this into land and really say, this boils down to me to three key pillars. This Revenue 4.0 kind of era is all about intelligence, unification, and AI. And I think my summary would be, intelligent pricing and rebates that provides the optimum commercial terms to each trading partner. So for each supplier and for each customer, being able to deliver in real time, what are the right terms at each moment and in each channel. So that's the intelligence part. Unified platforms, that really does bring together rebates and pricing into one place, brings together all the functions within your company, so internal, which is finance, sales, purchasing, pricing teams all working together, but also bringing you and your trading partners together as well. And then finally, AI-powered productivity tools, AI-powered insights, and AI-powered automation. And Revenue 4.0 isn't about the future. This is about today. This is about right now. It's about the courage to rethink how we manage commercial relationships. It's about the vision to see beyond today's constraints, and it's about the ability to execute at the speed of opportunity. And this transformation is well underway. Okay, this isn't a question of whether it will happen, but when it will happen for each of you. So just to leave you with a final thought, in times of volatility, there's really two types of companies that I find. There's those that are swept along by the storm, and there's companies that are harnessing those same forces for competitive advantage. Change is happening faster than ever before, there's no doubt about that, both within our organizations, but also outside our companies as well. And with the right setup, everyone in this room can accelerate profitable growth. You need commercial partners and platforms equipped for this volatile world, not just to respond, but to anticipate. Not just to protect margins, but to increase them. And not just to survive volatility, but actually to thrive because of it. Thank you very much.